I am not an actor. Actors need an audience. I need the opposite, to be anonymous. My official title is Static Logistics Specialist. In practice, I am a corpse double. The job exists for a practical reason. In billionaire families, the body of a recently deceased patriarch or matriarch is worth more than gold bars. There are theft attempts for DNA extraction, enemies who want to desecrate the corpse for revenge, and the press that would pay millions for a photo of the dead face. So, the family cremates or freezes the real body minutes after death, and I get into the coffin for the public wake. Sorry to disappoint you, but every famous person you've seen at a televised funeral wasn't the real famous person. I get paid to lie down, motionless, while strangers cry, scream, and occasionally try to steal the cufflinks from my suit. Usually, the rulebook is 5 pages long. For the Duval family job, the manual I received had 50. I was in the prep room, the mansion's refrigerated basement, naked, shivering, while the technical supervisor, a man named Mr. Rice, applied a layer of cold silicone over my chest. "Pay attention, Matthias," Rice said, avoiding eye contact. "The Duvals are traditionalists. They do not accept failure. The pay is triple the standard, but the rules of physical engagement are absolute. Did you memorize Section 4? "I did," I replied, my teeth chattering. "Repeat it mentally now to refresh." I took a deep breath, focusing on the muscle memory from training, and I went over the rules. Rule 1, total thermal control. The corpse generates no heat. You will undergo a 40-minute ice immersion bath before the event to lower your skin temperature to 28 degrees Celsius. During the wake, if anyone touches your hand or face, they must not feel the warmth of the living. Under no circumstances are you to sweat. If you feel a drop of sweat forming on your forehead, you must trigger the micro switch in your palm so the coffin's cooling system releases gaseous nitrogen. Sweat is proof of life. And life is prohibited in this precinct. Rice picked up a syringe. I extended my arm. The needle went in. It wasn't a sedative. It was a peripheral neuromuscular blocker. Rule 2. The block. Grief generates unpredictable reactions in the guests. They might scream in your ear, spit in your face, or stroke your hair. The human instinct in these cases is to react. A twitch of the eyelid, a tremor of the lip, a change in respiratory rate. This is unacceptable. The drug administered Laxatil B will paralyze your facial muscles. You will not be able to blink even if a fly lands on your eye. You will not be able to swallow even if saliva accumulates. You must let the saliva drool out the corner of your mouth if necessary. A drooling corpse is acceptable. A swallowing corpse is a fraud. I felt my face get heavy. I tried to smile and couldn't. My eyelids felt like lead. "Great. Looking good," Rice murmured. "They're going to use the Sarcophagus 4 model coffin. False bottom for ventilation, but ventilation is minimal. Remember Rule 3. He helped me into the suit. Italian wool. Heavy, hot, in an environment where I needed to keep my skin ice cold. The discomfort was part of the job. Rule 3. The invisible breathing protocol. The chest must not rise. Diaphragmatic breathing is mandatory. You must expand your stomach downward, compressing the viscera, never the rib cage. The rhythm must be 4 cycles per minute. If someone lays their head on your chest to cry, which is common, you must hold your breath immediately and keep it held until the individual leaves. The required record is 3 minutes. If you pass out from lack of oxygen, do not worry. Fainting maintains the illusion. Waking up gasping is what breaks the contract. I was placed in the coffin. The smell was strong. Lilies and industrial formaldehyde sprayed on my clothes to mask any scent of the living deodorant-soaked breath. Reese leaned over me. "And the most important rule, Matthias, Rule 4. Go over it in your mind. The Duvals have a history of violent inheritance disputes. Rule 4. The proof. It is possible that a family member may doubt the death. They call this the proof. Someone may try to inflict physical pain to see if the body reacts. Hard pinches, twisting fingers, or superficial piercing with pins. You are wearing a second skin of latex over your hands and face, which should prevent bleeding from shallow cuts. But it does not prevent pain. If you are wounded, your heart rate will rise. The monitor on your wrist will vibrate. You must use mental dissociation techniques. If it hurts, you are not there. You are wood. Wax. If you scream or if you pull your arm away, Family security will not intervene to save you. They will intervene to eliminate the fraud. Ready. All good. I've done this enough times not to be nervous, I managed to whisper, my mouth half numb. The wake lasts 6 hours. Good luck. The lid was closed only halfway, American style. I was taken to the gold room. The horror of being a coffin double isn't supernatural. It is the horror of objectification. You are there, hearing everything, feeling everything, but treated as an object. People speak secrets in front of you because they think dead ears don't listen. The first hour was quiet, stifled crying, violin music. I kept my breathing at 4 cycles. The chill from the ice bath was still in my bones, which helped maintain the temperature. Then, the eldest son arrived, Rogerio Duval. I smelled the cheap whiskey and cigar before I heard him. He leaned over the coffin. "Old bastard," he whispered. He placed his hand on my neck, his hot, sweaty hand. He squeezed. It wasn't a caress. He was closing his hand around my windpipe. I felt the cartilage in my neck pop. Air stopped passing through. Rule 4, passivity in the face of aggression. My brain screamed, "React, get his hand off." But the contract screamed louder, "You are wood, you are wax." I stayed motionless. The muscle blocker helped prevent me from thrashing. My eyelids didn't even flicker. Rogerio squeezed for 10 interminable seconds. He wanted to be sure his father was dead, or perhaps he wanted to finish the job in case he wasn't. He let go. "At least he's cold," he grumbled, and walked away. I drew air in slowly through my diaphragm. It hurt. My throat was bruised, but I was dead, at least. Success. 2 hours later, a young woman, the granddaughter, perhaps. She was weeping copiously. She laid her head on my chest. Rule 3. Invisible breathing protocol. I stopped breathing immediately. The weight of her head made it difficult. Her perfume was cloying, too sweet. It made me nauseous. She stayed there. 1 minute, my lungs began to burn. 2 minutes, my peripheral vision began to darken. My God, it sucks not to breathe. She kept crying, sobbing, shaking my body slightly. "Get off me," I thought. "Get off now." 3 minutes. I was at my limit. The reflex to inhale was almost overcoming my will. I was going to gasp. I was going to suck in air with a loud snore and ruin everything. I felt a spasm in my diaphragm. At that moment, someone pulled her away. "Come, dear, let Grandpa rest." She stood up. I waited for her to move 2 steps away before releasing the air in a razor-thin stream and pulling oxygen in slowly. My head was spinning. I was dizzy. But I always thought already lying down helps a lot in these moments. But the worst was yet to come. Rule 5. The rule that wasn't in the printed manual but was spoken by Mr. Rice just before I went in. A verbal rule. Rule 5. The refusal of food. The family follows an ancient tradition, the Last Communion. They will place a gold coin in your mouth. Depending on how they place it, being supine, your body's reflex might be to swallow. Do not swallow. The coin is from the 18th century. It is worth more than your life. If you swallow by reflex, we will have to cut your stomach open right there to retrieve it. The widow, Doña Constancia, approached. A 90-year-old woman in a wheelchair. She asked to be lifted up. She opened my mouth with fingers that felt like dry claws, but the lady didn't put in a coin. She put in a paper. A small, folded, bitter piece of paper. I felt the paper on my tongue. The saliva, which I couldn't swallow, began to dissolve the paper. I tasted chemicals. Strong, bitter. This wasn't ordinary paper. Was it LSD? Cyanide? Some ritualistic hallucinogen? Do not swallow. But the paper was melting rapidly. The liquid pooled at the back of my mouth. I tried to close my throat, to block the passage, but the blocker made my muscles useless. There was no reflex left to save me. Gravity simply took over. I felt the bitter liquid slide passively down my open pipe. I didn't swallow it. It simply invaded me. Doña Constancia smiled. She leaned close to my ear. "I know you aren't Arthur," she whispered. The dead man's name was Arthur Duval. I froze. Arthur had a scar behind his ear. You don't. She stroked my paralyzed face. "But it doesn't matter. The contract says we need a body for the crematorium. And Arthur. Arthur ran off with his mistress to the Cayman Islands." My heart stopped. The dead man wasn't dead. The dead man was alive, and I wasn't a double. I was the replacement. "Enjoy the tea, boy," she said. "It's a total muscle relaxant. It will stop your heart in 20 minutes. The doctor will certify natural death right then and there. And we will cremate you before the effect wears off." She moved away. Emergency rule. There was no rule for this. Panic exploded. I needed to get out of there. I tried to get up, but the drug from the paper, Rule 5, violated, was mixing with the blocker from Rule 2. My arms didn't respond. My legs didn't respond. I was conscious. I saw the lights of the chandelier. I heard the fake crying of the relatives, but I couldn't move a millimeter. I looked without moving my head to the corner of the room. Mr. Rice was there, the agency supervisor.
Who was looking at me. He gave a discreet sign with his head. A sad nod. He knew. The agency knew. The extreme risk level wasn't about security, it was about sacrifice. The triple payment wasn't for the inconvenience. It was the life insurance paid in advance to my family. I felt my heart slowing down, air began to run out, the diaphragm stopped obeying voluntary commands, automatic breathing was failing. Rule 3 was now permanent. The family doctor approached with a stethoscope. He placed the cold metal on my chest. He heard my heart failing, fighting, stopping. He looked at the widow. "Death is confirmed. Doña Constancia, we can proceed with the closing." I wanted to scream. I was screaming inside. "I am alive! This is murder!" But Rule 2 worked perfectly. My face was a mask of absolute peace. No tears came out because my tear ducts were dry from the dehydration of Rule 1. The funeral home employee came. He took the coffin lid. I looked at the ceiling of the gold room one last time. It was beautiful. Paintings of angels. Angels looking down with indifference. The lid came down. Darkness came. The sound of latches closing. I heard the muffled command outside. "Take it to the oven. Maximum temperature. The family is in a hurry." I felt the coffin being lifted. The gentle swaying. The nausea. My heart gave one last strong beat and stopped. But my mind stayed lit. The brain is the last thing to shut down. I still felt. I felt when the coffin was placed on the conveyor belt. I felt the heat, the real heat. Not the sun's hand, but the fire. The wood began to crack. And the last thing I thought about as the temperature rose to violate Rule 1 definitively was the rule book. There was a final page. A page I didn't read because it was glued shut. Now I understood the title of the document. It wasn't safety protocol, it was disposal protocol. I followed all the rules. And I was Employee of the Month.